Hey, this is Justin. Welcome back to my little shower project here. You might have seen my last video where I removed a cast iron bathtub. That was a pretty good adventure. And since then I've made some progress. Put in a new shower base, got the walls sheetrocked in, connected the drain, ran the plumbing. I didn't make a video of any of those steps because there's dozens of great videos out there showing how to do those steps. I will make a video of the next step, however, because it's kind of a different approach to shower walls. I researched different products. Obviously, tiling is the classy way to go, no doubt about that. It's a lot of work. It can be expensive, especially if you get a contractor. A good contractor is worth it though. They really do a good job. But if you do it yourself, you really have to know what you're doing. There's a dozen different ways that a tile job in a shower can fail and really disappoint you. So I considered shower panels. There are a few different manufacturers that make one panel on the front wall, one panel on the back wall, and anywhere from 1 to 3 panels on this wall. And they're waterproof and just put a little caulk around them and they're good. They just use adhesive to go to the wall. And I started thinking of waterproof products that cover surfaces, and I have some experience with vinyl flooring. I've put it in bathrooms and laundry rooms before. So that's what I'm going to try. There's only a couple videos out there, and I'm going to try kind of a different approach to installing this, and I'll take you through step by step. Okay, I'll take you through some of the preparation steps I've done here. I managed to make the new sheetrock kind of flush with the existing wall up above. I didn't want to have to deal with the ceiling intersection at all. I just used regular sheetrock, put some primer on it just so the adhesive doesn't soak into it too much, but just primer. In the corners I did put some kind of a waterproof coating. It's kind of overkill. I don't think it would be necessary, but just to give an added layer of protection there. At the bottom, you may be familiar with how sheetrock kind of overhangs the flange on the shower base a little bit. So if you can see that, I kind of added a thin strip under that sheetrock up against the shower flange just to make the sheetrock nice and flush all the way down, because I want the sheet vinyl to be supported all the way down to the shower base. As you can see, I put some painter's tape on the ledge of the shower base, just leaving a little gap between that and the flange, just to protect it from any smearing of any adhesive or caulk or anything. Ideally, I want the vinyl to come down really close to the ledge of that shower base. Ideally not touching it, just leaving maybe less than 1/8 of an inch between the bottom edge of the vinyl and the ledge of the shower base. Most sheet vinyl comes in 12-foot rolls, so I went to Menards and rolled off 7 feet of it because these walls are going to be about, the vertical portion of the vinyl is going to be about 7 feet high, and then I just cut three 7-foot pieces, one 30 inches wide, 2 30 inches wide and one 60 inches wide, about. And then I cut the pieces precisely so that they would fit on the shower walls. A lot of times when you install sheet vinyl, you're kind of pressing it into the corner and then cutting it in the corner. And for this application, that just did not seem precise enough for me. So I measured really carefully and cut precisely these pieces of vinyl so that when I press them into place, they fit perfectly. Always do a trial placement just to make sure it fits before you're dealing with adhesive and everything. This vinyl is face down right now, and you'll never be able to see it on the camera here, but they put a grid of really fine tracing lines on the back. In this case, they're 6 inches by 6 inches. And that really helps when you're cutting through this vinyl, especially if you don't have a faux grout pattern on the front. If it's like a random marble pattern, you really appreciate this grid on the back of the vinyl. And I just measured it out and cut along the lines, and just be really careful that you're doing it straight and without any jagged edges. So here's the back wall piece, and you can see my little painter's tape up here. When I did the trial placement, that's all I needed to hold the vinyl in place. It's not super heavy, and once I have the adhesive on, I'm going to use the same method. Tape it in place, press it down, and then remove the tape right away, so I can do kind of hopefully micro shifting if I need to get the vinyl perfectly placed. For the adhesive, I'll be using this just a recommended adhesive for sheet goods. It says it has at least a 20-minute working time, so I hope I have enough time to trowel it out into one wall so it's completely covered. I'm going to do kind of a clear silicone method at the bottom, and then run in here with the sheet and press it in place. It recommends a 1/16 inch V-notch trowel. I'm going to go with 1/8 inch because when you're doing a floor, you have gravity working in your favor. It's holding the floor down to the subfloor. But here gravity is kind of working against me, so I want to have a little more adhesive on the surface so that the vinyl will stay there. The only thing tougher would be a ceiling. A ceiling. Got me thinking there. Nah, not for now. Let's just do it on the walls. And then, so here's my trowel. And then I got this roller, which is meant for floors and carpets. So I'm just going to V-notch this adhesive into place, cover the whole wall, press the vinyl in place, and then roll it out so I get really good bond over 100% of the area. And I'm thinking that if I need to shift the whole thing a tiny fraction of an inch, I can kind of roll it that way and it'll move a tiny bit if necessary. Okay, I just did one more little rehearsal of how this is going to go. I lined up the top edge with my line on the wall, and I got that little mark on my tape matched up with the mark on the wall. And I'm thinking if I can get this area pressed in at the right height and fairly level, that then I can just press the rest of it into place and it'll line up perfectly on the edges. Also, when I put the sheetrock in the shower, I did a pretty good job of making it perfectly square and flat and plumb, which helps a lot when it comes to your measuring. I don't want to have one width at the top and another width at the bottom, or deal with angles or anything. So all the pieces I was able to cut perfectly square. Okay, honestly this was pretty tricky. It made sense to me to do the big piece first. It's the most difficult, and I just wanted to get this in place and then kind of place the end pieces next to it. I definitely learned a few things. These tape tabs at the top were necessary for the trial placement. but not really necessary for the final placement. Once this adhesive was on, just press it in place in 2 or 3 places, and it's stuck. It's still movable, and the more places that you press it in, the less movable it is. But that adhesive is pretty gooey, so I just pressed it in place in a few places, and I was able to shift it a little bit. It ended up great. In a perfect world, it would be another millimeter to the right, and then there's virtually no space on this side, but that's okay. The other thing I learned is there will be some air bubbles under the vinyl, and that's where the roller came in handy. I was able to roll the air bubbles to the nearest edge, and you can just kind of hear it squirt out, and you can hear the adhesive pop a little bit. So once I got it in a place that I liked, it was endless rolling, get it all really well bonded to the surface. This piece where the shower head will be and the shower valve, I had to cut a hole for this because this part sticks out of the wall. I made the hole as small as possible because you don't want a lot of cutouts in a piece. It kind of loses its structure a little bit. So there's a hole in the sheetrock behind this one, and it'll be easy to cut through the vinyl to bring that hole back. So on this one, I was much better at moving the adhesive around. I didn't have to work so fast. On the big piece, I was nervous about the adhesive getting hard on one end, and so I really went too fast and I got a little bit sloppy with the adhesive. So this one was much cleaner. I didn't get any on the vinyl. I didn't get it on my hands. Also, because it's smaller, there were just not as many air bubbles. The edges were closer, so it was easier to get the air bubbles out. This one, I tried to pay attention to all edges. This edge is great. This edge, I actually overlap the end of the wall, because then I can just trim it right down the corner bead, so it's kind of flush with this wall over here. Also, when you're rolling this out, some adhesive might ooze out the edges a little bit, which is good because that means you have adhesive all the way to the edge. But if it really squirts out too much and then your roller gets into the adhesive a little bit, and then you bring the roller back over your vinyl, it kind of prints that dot of adhesive all the way across the vinyl. No problem, you can clean that up with turpentine, mineral spirits, paint thinner, whatever. But keep that in mind, try to keep adhesive off the roller. So again, just endless rolling, got it really well bonded all the way around. So theoretically, this final piece should be the easiest piece with everything I've learned, and there's no cutouts or anything, so I'll try to get video on this one. and I did even more rolling after that. I'm obsessed with getting this just 100% bonded to the wall. It would not be crazy to just do a bead of liquid nails around the perimeter and put 20 dots on the interior and stick it up that way. For some reason, I wanted to have 100% bond around the entire area. But this one was pretty easy. You can see the adhesive in the corner here. It looks like it's bulging, but it's pressed way back in the corner. And once I put on my gray silicone, it'll be totally covered and sealed. What do you think? There are probably a lot of pro remodelers out there that are shaking their heads, and if you're one of them, let me know your concerns in the comments. But what is not to like about this solution? It's super light, it's flexible, totally waterproof, obviously, and super cheap. I mean, I got this whole thing for $100, and that was one of the top of the line ones. You could spend even less. And this adhesive, by the way, is pretty ideal. It's just the right thickness so that if you kind of get a glob on the wall, it doesn't fall to the floor. It just kind of rolls down and you can catch it and smear it around. As you can see, I did it with a knife and then use that notch trowel to spread it around evenly. Okay, fast forward. Done with my paint job. I'm just measuring for a shower door here, but done with the paint job. I installed a little niche, a little double shelf niche here. I measured ahead of time. I knew exactly where there was a stud and a little block here, so I cut right through the vinyl and sheetrock and stuck that in there. That worked out pretty well. I consider myself pretty good at caulking. I have a lot of experience, but I could not afford a mistake on these corners. That would be very difficult to clean up. So I used the tape method, and I ended up with nice, really clean, light gray caulk lines in the corners. Very happy about that. Anyway, I look forward to getting this shower door installed and testing out this shower. I look forward to your questions and comments, and good luck with your project.